Well, hello, I'm Kristen Crosby, the Director of International Admission, and I'm excited to introduce you to Ohio Wesleyan University. We have the distinction of being one of just maybe 40, 45 colleges that change lives. This is a great guidebook. It was written many years ago by the editor of the New York Times, but it still holds true today. There's also a Colleges That Change Lives website, ctcl.org. So, highly recommend that website as a great tool for your college search. And so, some of the things I'm going to introduce to you today are the many ways that Ohio Wesleyan changes students' lives. So, this picture here is just a tiny little fraction of our beautiful campus. This building here with a red roof is where the admission office is. So that's where a lot of my colleagues spend their time reading applications. But we also have this amazing reading room on the second floor. There's a stained glass roof, and it's just a really beautiful and peaceful place for students to study. You can also find in that building our OWU Connection and Career Services office, as well as the International Student Advisors. So this building here is going to be like a second home to you, and it's got all kinds of great resources. So you'll find yourself in there pretty frequently. And what we're looking at here is the academic side of campus. And there's actually a lot of buildings, more than just what you see here. And the campus is pretty big, but it's all walkable. So from one end to the other end of the campus, it might be at most a 15-minute walk. You don't need a bus to get around. And then if you just walk 2 blocks down past this building here, you can get to downtown Delaware. So it's a great location, a really beautiful campus. We've been around since 1842, and many of our buildings are very old and historic, but of course they're modern inside. All right. So, what to love about Ohio Wesleyan? We've been featured among the nation's best colleges. We're going to be sending out a press release soon. I think we were just ranked among the 23% best colleges and universities in the world. And I think what really makes Ohio Wesleyan special is our community, as well as our really outstanding academic offerings. One of the things that we like to emphasize is that learning should be fun. We want you to choose a major that you're going to love, something that's going to make you feel excited to get up every day and go to class. And learning is supposed to be fun, but it's also very practical, very hands-on, and we have extremely successful graduates, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. Here are some photos of our vibrant campus. We've got 24 Division III athletic teams. We've got amazing musical organizations, and you don't have to be a music major if you want to try out for our orchestras and our bands and our jazz ensembles. Art is also a really big piece of our academic offerings, or if you just want to do art for fun. And then we've got nearly 100 clubs and organizations, academic clubs, social clubs, cultural clubs, religious clubs, all kinds of things to choose from. So there's plenty to do all of the time, and it's a great way to make friends. And most of our students live on campus. About 97% live on campus. So you're not just going to class and making friends, but you're making friends in the residence halls, in the libraries, the places where you'll be studying, the dining halls. And we're very intentional about having our students live on campus. So it's part of what makes the experience so special is to be with people your own age for 4 years, 24 hours a day, having those fun late night conversations and studying together and, participating in exciting events. So it really is part of the American experience to have that residential piece of life on a college campus. Another thing that's really important to Ohio Wesleyan's philosophy is a global mindset. And so more than 70% of our students study abroad. And we realize that you'll be studying abroad if you come to Ohio Wesleyan. So you might not want to go to another country for a semester or a year. But if you do, that's definitely an option. And we have ways to make it affordable for all students. And then we also have what are called short-term travel learning courses. So if you don't want to spend a whole semester away in another country, you can get just a taste of another country or culture or even another part of the United States through our travel learning courses. And I'm going to talk more about those a little bit later in this presentation. We also have great dining on campus. We might not be offering 24-hour dining next year, but we still have late night dining, I think, until 1 or 2 in the morning. So that's probably the latest I've ever heard of for a dining hall to be open on a college campus. And then our classes are all very small. So if you want to be known by your professors, if you want to be taught only by professors and not by graduate students or teaching assistants, Ohio Wesleyan is a place where you can have close relationships with professors who know you and mentor you. And 95% of our classes have 20 or fewer students. And that remaining 5% of classes might only have 30 students, 40 students at the most. So we don't have big lecture halls. It's meant to be a place where you can have discussion and not just learn from somebody who's delivering a lecture, but engage in conversation so you're also learning from your fellow students. And our student to faculty ratio is 10 to 1. So that means that your professors will know you and they'll know you by name. And if they see you on campus, they'll wave and they'll say, "Hi, Arvid. Hi, Abdul. How are you doing?" So you'll get to know them and they'll get to know you. And I just put some descriptors here at the bottom of this page of really what I think you can look for in future students, future classmates, curious students, hardworking students, students who like to have fun, they're respectful, creative, kind, studious, a little bit quirky, humble. So it's a great community to be part of. It's not a place where people are just looking out for themselves and to better themselves without regard to their fellow students. It's a very collaborative kind of community. So why Ohio? I know you're probably considering not just the United States, but maybe other countries as well to study in. If you are considering the United States, you're probably looking at many different states to call home for your future college experience. So why would you want to consider Ohio? Well, Ohio here is the seventh most populous state. There's over 11 million people in the state of Ohio, and it's actually in the Eastern time zone. So, it's not too far of a flight or a drive or a bus ride to other neighboring states in the East, like Pennsylvania, New York. Massachusetts is over here. Boston is an hour and a half flight away. Washington, D.C., not too far away. So you can actually get to 2/3 of the US and Canada in an hour and a half flight. So it's a very convenient location. It's been ranked number 8 for the most safe state to live in. And I know that safety is probably one of the top factors that students and parents are considering when they're making their decision on where to go for 4 years of university. In terms of the most colleges and universities, Ohio is ranked number 6th. So there are some amazing academic options in the state of Ohio, whether you're considering Ohio Wesleyan for undergrad, or maybe you want to go on to graduate school after you graduate from Ohio Wesleyan. There's Case Western, Ohio State, lots of great institutions in the state of Ohio. The economy is growing, and the economy ranks 7th in the United States. And actually, Columbus, which is very close to Ohio Wesleyan, I think it's got like the fastest growing economy. It's a really thriving place to be. And as I mentioned, you can get to lots of other parts of the US, and 50% of the US population lives within about 800 kilometers within the radius of Columbus, which is close to Owu. And you can get to Columbus directly from New York, Chicago, Boston, Detroit, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., many other cities. So when you're making your plans to come to Ohio Wesleyan, you probably are not going to be able to get to Owu in just one flight. But hopefully you can just get there in two flights, and the airport is about 30 minutes from Ohio Wesleyan. Our location's a really fantastic one. So we're just 30 minutes from Columbus, which is the capital of Ohio. It's a quick drive to get into Columbus, whether you're taking a local bus from Delaware or an Uber. It actually just became the 15th largest city. So it's no longer the 14th largest city in the US, but it's still a very big, bustling city. It's the number one real estate market in the US, which means that Columbus continues to grow, continues to thrive, and it's been ranked the number 5 best city for new graduates to live, work, and play. Delaware is the city where Ohio Wesleyan is located, and our campus is just 1 to 2 blocks from the heart of downtown Delaware. There are nearly 50 restaurants, cafes, shops, movie theater, a lot to do, but it's not a large city with skyscrapers. It has a more homey feel to it. And Delaware County, where we're located, is the wealthiest and healthiest county in Ohio. So it's a very safe city. Delaware has been rated the number 32 best American city to live in. This is a snapshot of Main Street, and we have monthly street fairs in Delaware. So our monthly street fairs happen year round, even in the winter, and there's all kinds of vendors and games and live music. And you can see that the city of Delaware has a more homey look than Columbus, which really is urban. But there's also other things near Columbus, like the Ecological Center with over 230 acres. Bike paths are not too far away. There's an arts castle within walking distance to campus. It's got an A- rating for safety. So, Delaware is a very safe city, and Delaware has about 50,000 people in it. So that's the size of Delaware. And you can walk to all different kinds of restaurants, from street tacos, ramen, Indian food, mochi donuts, all kinds of things that you can get off campus. And you can use some of your dining dollars to eat at 4 restaurants nearby. There's also movie theater, shopping, grocery, pharmacy, all within walking distance. And Delaware is a hub for manufacturing and logistics, professional services. And since the year 2000, before you guys were born, the population of Delaware has grown 80%, which means that it also is a thriving city and thriving community. And we're going to be getting a big store called Target, where you'll be able to go and get all of the things you need for your room. And that'll be a great convenience. There's an ice arena, a concert venue, and a food hall. So that's a little bit about Delaware, Ohio. And just a little bit about Columbus. It's the second largest city in the Midwest after Chicago. But again, we're in the Eastern time zone. It's actually bigger than San Francisco. And it's got some great rankings, like the number 1 city to work in tech, number 3 for new graduates to live, work, and play, number 8 for STEM jobs, a number 9 top 10 best big city by Condé Nast Traveler magazine. And Columbus has so many cool things, from a zoo, aquarium, botanic gardens, museum of art, science museum, history museums, cool neighborhoods with history. And again, that international airport just 35 minutes from Ohio Wesleyan. And then some other interesting rankings, like the third highest concentration of fashion designers behind New York and Los Angeles. And it's also a foodie town. So if you love food, Columbus has great food. and also fantastic sporting events, teams, and live music venues. But let's get back to Ohio Wesleyan. Just a couple pictures of downtown Delaware. So it's a vibrant place. And the other thing that is really vibrant at Ohio Wesleyan is the living situation. So, as I mentioned, we're a residential campus. 97% of students live on campus all 4 years. So, the good news is you'll never have to find an apartment off campus and furnish it and get all of the pots and pans and cook for yourself. You'll always have housing guaranteed for you. And we have a variety of housing. So we have first year residence halls where you'll live with one roommate. And then after your first year, you'll be able to choose through a lottery system where you want to live. It could be another residence hall where you have a roommate. Maybe you want to live in a single. We also have these fun, um, what do we call them? Slews. Living units, small living units. So these are houses, and the inside of the small living units, they all have a kitchen. They have living rooms, lounges, study space, and there's about 12 students who live in a house, and they have themes. So we have Citizens of the World House, House of Black Culture, Creative Arts House, Cooking Matters House, and other themes as well. And so you have to apply to get into a small living unit house, but they're right across the street from campus and they have that homey feeling. And these themed small living units will have events for the community. So you get to plan events and things like that. And you're still on a meal plan. So even though there is a kitchen, you don't cook all your meals. You still just go across the street to the dining hall and you can eat your meals in the dining hall. And then in your senior year, we do have apartment style living if you want to live in an apartment, but still have it be considered campus housing. And most of the apartments have single rooms, but a shared kitchen. So usually about 6 students live in an apartment, all with their own single bedroom and a shared kitchen and living room. So that's a little bit about housing. We really are all about supporting students through so many ways from international orientation. So we'll pick you up at the airport, bring you to campus, and then we have a 2-day international orientation. Some of it is fun, some of it is practical. We'll take you shopping to get all of the things that you need for your room. We also have the career connection. So we're going to start working with you even as early as your first year on internships, interviewing skills, assessment skills. So we do a lot with students to prepare you for a career or graduate school. If spiritual life is important to you, we have a chaplain who covers many different faiths. We've got all different faiths at Ohio Wesleyan. But we're not a religious school. So we're for students who might have no faith or students who might be interested in the idea of spirituality or students who are devout in their practice of faith. So lots of variety there. Um, we help you with your visa. We help you with campus safety. We have the Office of Multicultural Student Affairs. We have an international advising office. We can provide some housing during breaks for students. We also take students on little trips to Columbus. So we, might have entertainment taking you to the museum or shopping at an international grocery store. A really outstanding academic advising. You'll start working with your advisor before you even get to campus. And then there's also services for students' mental health and well-being, because we consider that an important piece of the camp of student support as well. So in terms of popular majors, we have over 70 majors to choose from. Popular majors include communications, international studies, biology, zoology, computer science, business, astrophysics, sociology, psychology, and coming in 2027, We're going to be offering mechanical engineering. So we will be opening a School of Engineering in the fall of 2027, and we are building a new science center as we speak. So if anyone is thinking about engineering, we will be offering mechanical engineering. One thing that we're really known for are the experiences that we guarantee to every single student to apply your knowledge in a real world setting. And we call them connection experiences, connecting your learning to real world settings. So connection experiences can be research, they can be internships, they could be studying abroad or doing research abroad. Also, community service. There are lots of different ways that you can connect that learning in a real world setting. And every student is guaranteed multiple connection experiences and real world problem solving. And we also provide funding to help cover some of the costs that might be involved with travel or housing or equipment. So I'll describe a few of these connection experiences. This one here was a travel learning course that we offered. Our astrophysics professor took students to Japan to study the history of the space industry for several weeks. This student had a research project for the summer at the Harvard MIT Broad Institute, and he was researching the frontal cortex and Alzheimer's. And so he is an international student and spent his summer at Harvard MIT Broad Institute. And this picture here, I actually got to go on this travel learning course. This was a soil science travel learning course that went to Hokkaido, Japan, and got to travel around learning about soil classification. And so 4 Ohio Wesleyan students got to go completely for free. Some were environmental science majors, some were botany majors, and they got to interact with professionals in the field of soil science, professors. And so that was a really exciting thing for me to witness through the students' eyes. And I can tell you that I really got to see them learning in a real world setting in a way that you just wouldn't get that same learning if it were just done in a classroom. So that's an exciting thing about the connection experiences. A little bit about graduate partnerships. So, this is something that I think we don't talk about enough, but we do have partnerships with Carnegie Mellon as well as Case Western. And I think that if you get a certain GPA, you can kind of get guaranteed admission to these two programs. They are masters in management. So, Carnegie Mellon's graduate partnership includes Master of Arts Management, Entertainment, Information Systems, Science and Healthcare Policy, Public Policy, and Management. And so you kind of get that guaranteed admission to Carnegie Mellon. And there is a minimum scholarship. I don't know, it might be more than 14,000. And then Case Western, we have the graduate partnership with the Weatherhead School of Management in financial big data analytics, corporate financial analytics, risk management, corporate finance. And there's also a scholarship with potential for additional scholarships. Yes, Manor, I see you've got a question. Do you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah.
And hi, what would you like to
Hello,
ask?
how
Oh,
are you?
good. How are you? Do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question that I'm in currently in grade 11 and I want to pursue law as a career.
Okay.
I want to know about that, if that is possible.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we have over 70 majors. And for students who are interested in law as a career, you might want to choose political science as your major. But really, what you can do at Ohio Wesleyan and a lot of other American universities is to do what's called a pre-law track, which ensures that you get all of the courses that you need to enable you to apply to law school in the United States. And so you can actually choose any major. If you wanted to choose psychology as a major, or creative writing, or business, you'll still do all of your pre-law prerequisites.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of flexibility. And the great thing about Ohio Wesleyan is that if you wanted to have an internship at a law firm or with a judge or an NGO, we would provide you those kinds of connection experiences related to different aspects of law.
Yeah, but currently I'm in grade 11, so when I have to apply for that? In Pakistan, it's like after 12, we have to apply for law in any university.
So in the
So what are
United
the
Yeah, in the United States, if you're applying to law school, or if you're applying to, say, medical school, you'll do 4 years of the undergraduate degree, and then you apply to law school or, medical school, business school. So
at
you would
what
have to
age?
do 4 years, undergraduate degree in the US, and then apply to law school, which is an additional 3 years. So we don't have a law school.
Okay, so at what age we have to apply?
You could apply in year 12, so in your final year of high school.
Okay,
Yep.
thank
And
you.
this brings me to the application process. So that was a great little segue. For students who are watching this who haven't yet applied, we have a regular decision for the fall intake, which starts in late August, and that regular decision deadline is March 1st. And depending on when you're watching this recording, if it's a later date, we also have rolling admission and early action and early decision deadlines. So the fall intake is when most of our students come. Classes usually start towards the end of August. And if students are applying for that fall intake, we will read applications and send decisions as applications become complete. So we try to send a decision to every student within about 3 weeks once all of the application materials have been received. And then if anybody's watching this recording later and they're thinking they want to apply for a January intake, we do have a January intake, and classes usually start around the second week of January. So the deadline for a January intake would be by November 1st, so that there's time for students to get a visa. And in terms of the application process, we want to make it pretty straightforward, and we will accept the common application or the application that is on our website. There are also some other platforms that if your school uses Explore or Cialfo or Concourse Match, there's some other ways to apply as well. You can find out if English proficiency is required for your country on our website, but just as a little rule of thumb, our minimum IELTS is 79. Oh, sorry, minimum TOEFL is 79, IELTS 6.5, Duolingo 105. And we also accept other tests like Pearson, and some other ones you'll find on our website. We only require the essay. Usually, if students apply through the Common Application, that's the only essay that we require. We do have an optional Why Ohio Wesleyan, but it is optional, so you don't have to submit it. And in terms of financial aid, we built a form into your portal. So once you apply, you'll get an email that says, "Oh, yeah, oh, woo, your application has been received." You want to open that email, and you'll have login information that will take you to a portal. You'll be able to see what is missing and the link to the financial form. And actually, we've increased our scholarship, so our minimum scholarship is now 37,000 per year. We don't guarantee to meet full need for international students. So the scholarship on top of 37,000 is pretty limited. And you can always email me if you have questions about that. In terms of recommendations, we only require one recommendation. If you submit more, I promise I will read them. So it might be a teacher, it might be a counselor, a headmaster. Only one is required. You can submit more than one if you want. And then you're welcome to upload additional items such as a CV, activity list, portfolio items if you're an artist, musician, etc. We accept interviews through TOEFL or Initial View. SATs and ACTs are optional, so you don't have to submit them, but these things can be uploaded into your portal after you submit your application. Just some ways that you can get to know more about Ohio Wesleyan. We've got a great YouTube channel. So I highly recommend checking it out, from lectures and videos of tours of campus, tours of downtown Delaware. Many of my webinar recordings are on YouTube. So there's a lot that you can find on YouTube channel. We also have a great little tool on our website called the Discovery Engine, where you can read all about connection experiences. So I'll send a link to that Discovery Engine, or you can just type Discovery Engine in our web search and find that. I will be offering webinars, usually in the spring term. I offer webinars geared more towards becoming a student at Ohio Wesleyan. So things like housing, meals, visas, getting ready to study in the US. Then in the fall, it's geared more towards applying to college. So I try to be mindful of where students are in their college search process, but you can find upcoming webinars if you click this QR code, and you can also find our virtual tour, our live virtual tours, and all kinds of other things that we offer by clicking this QR code. If you ever want to message me on WhatsApp, this is the WhatsApp account number. I don't have a QR code to scan, but this is the way that you can reach me if you have a quick question, anything you want to reach out about through WhatsApp. And you can also schedule a meeting with me over Zoom. If you go to our admissions website and click on Meet Your Counselor, you'll find my booking calendar. So if you ever want to schedule a meeting with me, you can do that. So that's it, and I'm happy to take questions. I see Magnor has another question, and I've got some in the chat box as well. And I'm gonna end the recording now. So thanks for watching, but I'll still be here to answer your questions.